Hey everyone, this is Robert Keens with goldsilverpros.com. It is Tuesday, December 1st, 2020. And it looks like we've had a nice little pop in gold and silver today, and it's being led by a resurgence in the miners, which we're going to show you here in a moment. But before we do, let's go ahead and check out the gold price. You can see that gold is up about $37, $38 on the day, and silver was up, I believe, about $1.12 from yesterday. Gold right now is trading $18.13 after hours, silver $23.87 after hours in the market. Let's take a look at the gold chart. What we can see right here is gold basically bounced off the 200-day moving average. The 200-day is this red line, as you can see over here, squiggly red line. It bounced back on the 200-day moving average and back up, which is very bullish. It means that we may not be in for a more protracted correction than we were if it can stay above that 200 moving day average line. Let's look at a shorter term chart and see what's been going on with gold in that 200-day moving average as of late. Here's the 200-day moving average here. It went last week, it pounded down through that 200-day moving average, but it's recovered today solidly above that 200-day moving average. Now the volume here is not super stupendous, where I think that this is a very strong bounce above that 200-day moving average, but it does look like it has bounced above, and we'll track it this week to see if it stays above that 200-day moving average and it gets a little bit better volume. The volume numbers here are too weak for me to call this a bottom in the gold price right now, but we'll continue to watch it during the week to see if we've reached a bottom. I'm going to show you on the futures market why gold has rebounded. Again, we have fairly weak volume compared to what we had leading up to Thanksgiving and just after. Not super high volume numbers, but we'll look at the settlements. And if we go forward to the February contract, where you have the most volume, 198,000 contracts closing Tuesday, December 1st at 18.18, that's what pulled the price up, and that's why gold is trading right now at about 18.13, is because you have this upward price movement in the February contract for gold. And the December, the current month, you had 18.14, and then in January, 18.16. So it's trading, not quite at those numbers, but pretty close. So a nice pull up in the gold price due to the futures trading and a little bit of positive volume, although the volume is a bit anemic in today's data as compared with the past week. So again, I'm not calling a bottom in the gold move right now. We'll have to see what happens over the next couple of days, but at least that's some positive data. And we're going to look at the actual physical delivery numbers here in a moment in both gold and silver and show you what's going on there. Very positive for the first couple of delivery days of December in both gold and silver, and we'll go over those numbers here in a moment. We're going to switch gears real quick to silver. Again, it looks like silver rebounded a little bit today. You can see it's sort of range trading for the last month or so, right around that 2450 resistance line. You see this bunch up here around this key 2450 resistance line that I've been talking about for the last several months. And that means that silver could be a little weak right now, but it doesn't look like it wants to plunge down through that $22 support line at the moment, but we'll check and see what's going on. The difference with silver here is it did pierce down through the 50-day moving average, which is this blue squiggly line, but it's nowhere near its 200-day moving average. So even though silver appears to be weaker than gold, I would say that gold price action has actually been weaker because it's been below its 200-day moving average, where silver has not. So silver is probably doing just a tad better than gold in terms of the overall moving averages. We're going to look at silver on a short-term chart here. You can see that silver is challenging, trying to get back above its 50-day moving average. It did here before that big pound down on November 9th, and it tried to recover again on the 16th, and it got pounded down again. It almost tried to recover here on I think that's the 22nd, some positive volume, and we had really good positive volume today, which brought it just testing that 50-day moving average. So story in silver is actually a little bit better. I know you guys have been following silver, have been really down about it lately, but it's not down as much a percentage basis as gold is, and it has a chance to challenge the 50-day moving average for a third time. If it challenges the 50-day moving average for a third time, it's more likely to stay above and go back up to that key 2450 support level, which would be actually a resistance level until it pierces through. Will we see it pierce through 2450 in December? Could be, based upon the delivery numbers. Of course, we'll have to see what goes on with the futures, but I think there's definitely a chance for some positive news for silver for the rest of December. Again, healthy volume. If you look at the mean, right around 100,000 contracts traded daily in silver. Healthy volume there, but not stupendous volume, certainly not what we saw November 9th beat down, where we had massive short volume. Let's look at the settlements for silver, and they're fairly positive. Now, silver, the price month for silver is March, because you see the 88,000 contracts that traded today, Tuesday, December 1st. They traded at 24.09. So that's why the price is trading almost at 24.09. It's at 23.85. It's because the futures market's pulling it up. 88,000 contracts sold today at 24.09, and another 12.25 on the January contract at 24.05. Another 703 contracts sold today for December at 24.03. So definitely all positive price movements for silver. Again, not on super strong volume data for silver, about the average for the last couple of months, not worse than, not better than. So looking at that volume on the futures market, it looked like it may be about to test to the upside the 50-day moving average. We could see some resistance this week in silver. We could see it bounce off and come back down. I mean, it will be slightly bearish for the next week or two. If it pops above tomorrow or Thursday above that 50-day moving average, and we get some sufficient volume here, at least the average of the last 2 months of volume, then I will call a renewed bull market for silver. We'll track that over the next couple of days and tell you where it's going to go. Before we get into the metal deliveries numbers, I wanted to highlight a great article over here at silverseek.com by Steve Santangelo, who also goes by SRS Rocco. You see, he has lots of great reports on his website. Also gets syndicated out here to silverseek.com talking about silver. And the headline of his article is, and it's positive news for us Americans, is that Americans are leading the world by hedging their bets in silver. It's good to see American investment in silver returning. And I'm just going to highlight a couple of points in his article. You can read the whole article and look at the graphic. It says, Americans have purchased nearly half of all the global physical and ETF silver investment this year, 2020. That is real good. And he says, with global physical silver investment to be 237 million ounces this year, the U.S. accounts for 1/3 of the total physical silver bar and coin investment. So 1/3 of physical investment this year in America, and 1/2 when you add the physical and the ETF silver investment. So Americans are definitely investing in the silver ETF and in physical silver. And you can see in this nice little chart, 78 million ounces in 2020 so far for the United States. The rest of the world, 159 million ounces. Good to see Americans investing in silver. Again, that work that's being done by Arcadia Economics, talking about silver. My friend Chris Marcus is definitely paying off here in America. Chris Marcus, you are a hero to Americans in the silver market. Appreciate all the work that you've been doing. Again, another sign that silver investment is very strong in America, both ETF and physical investment, which means we could have a nice end of year to the silver price. We'll look forward to that further in December. Now, I wanted to talk about month-to-date delivery notices. I talked about December being a big delivery month for both gold and silver, and I don't think we've disappointed too much. Now, I have heard some chatter and some private conversations with people who expected more delivery early on in December for gold and silver, but I don't think the numbers are that bad, particularly considering the open interest has moved to February and March for gold and silver. Out of December, I still think we have healthy numbers. So we're going to go to the December delivery numbers. This report has both November and December. We're going to focus on the first couple of days of December and show you what's going on for both gold and silver. So we'll just scroll down here to the gold futures. This is December COMEX gold futures contract. The first delivery intent date for December was 11/27/2020. That was Friday, in which 5,300 contracts of 100-ounce gold were posted for delivery. And then on 11/30, we have 4,560. So a total of almost 10,000 contracts the first 2 days of gold standing for delivery. That's not bad. At that pace, we could get to 50, 60, 70,000. We'll have to see what happens this week, but we could have a very healthy month in December. That's not bad for physical delivery on the COMEX. It's not bad at all. It may be a little disappointing to some people, but I don't count 10,000 contracts the first 2 days as completely disappointing for gold delivery on the COMEX. I think it's very positive. We're going to go down to the silver futures. The first day was 1169, and man, did I hear, oh my God, that's a horrible number. I had a really good close friend say, oh, that's horrible. It's not what we expected for December silver deliveries. But look at what happened on 11/30, November 30th. Yesterday, we had 3,599 contracts, and now we're up to 4,700 contracts of silver. That's half the amount of contracts for silver than gold, but this is 5,000 ounces of silver. Actually, a lot more ounces of silver are being stood for delivery on the COMEX than gold. That again is a healthy number. It's not bad starting off December. So I don't want people to get too distraught over the December delivery numbers for gold and silver. The first 2 days, they're very, very healthy. Very, very healthy. So I wouldn't worry too much about what's going to happen the rest of the month. No matter what happens the rest of the month, we're going to have a healthy amount of gold and silver delivered. We'll see how big as we move throughout the month. But remember, we've had positive signs in the price the last couple of days. Positive report from Steve Sanangelo on Americans investing in physical and ETF silver for 2020. So let's stay tuned in the gold and silver markets and see what happens the rest of the month. These are not bad numbers. I haven't shown this report in quite a long time. It is the daily issues and stops report. Issues are when somebody is issuing a contract for delivery of gold or silver, and stopped is where they're actually delivering it. So issue is where they're taking delivery, stopped is who's providing delivery of those contracts, and interesting to see which banks, bullion banks are providing it. So JP Morgan right now is issuing 3,952 contracts. That means they want to take delivery of 3,952 contracts of gold, and they're stopping 1923 for a net of about 2,000 to the positive side. So JP Morgan is taking gold off the market is what that means. So that is the major bullion bank so far in December that's pulling gold off the market. That is not in any way, shape, or form any sort of surprise. You can see Scotia is providing 202. They're stopping 202 contracts. Bank of America Securities 81 and 177, 81 through their consumer account or their client account, sorry, and 177 through their house account. Morgan Stanley 222 through their client accounts and 366 for their house account. 298 JP Morgan through their house account against their contracts. 238 ABN AMRO. You can see who's stopping these contracts or delivering these contracts for this month. Looks like JP Morgan is a big winner so far early on for gold in December. We'll see what happens after this. Of course, this is just with the first day's number of 4,560 contracts. We'll see what happens the rest of the month. We're going to look at what is going to happen for silver. So we scroll down here to the silver futures, issues and stops for December 2nd, 2020 from the COMEX. And we see that the big issuer is Scotia Capital, 3171. So they're trying to take delivery of the silver. And the big stopper is 1911. Morgan Stanley is delivering that silver. You also have Bank of America Securities delivering quite a bit from their house. I'm sorry, Morgan Stanley and Bank of America delivering from their client and house accounts respectively. So that is who is issuing and stopping in silver and gold. The bullion banks are issuing, stopping to each other. JP Morgan, the big winner in gold, and in silver. Sorry, let me get back to that silver report. And in silver, the big issuer, 3171, Scotia, and the big delivers, Morgan Stanley and Bank of America and JP Morgan. Wanted to look at the stocks. I think one of the things that we're looking at with the gold and silver stocks is we've had a nice rebound. This is the part that's probably the most bullish for gold and silver in the month, that the stocks are leading the rally. Whenever we see stocks leading the rally, we would expect that that's good news for the gold and silver market. Why is that? Well, if you think about the gold and silver price, had nice pops since July, and most of the gold and silver producers, the primary gold and silver producers, are going to be in the money. They're going to start having positive earnings. And after countries open back up and allow the mines to open back up, we expected a solid quarter of profits. We reported the last few weeks, both on my channel and as a guest on Arcadia Economics channel, that the mining stocks had very positive earnings. There were record earnings for First Majestic Silver, for example. A lot of earnings through a lot of the gold and silver producers are very positive. And so the market is starting to react. So we see here the GDX, the VanEck Vectors Gold Miners ETF. The last 5 days, we've had a really nice little boost here the last 5 days from about, I'd say about 33 bucks to about 35 bucks a share. Today it was up $1.28 or 3.5% today alone. That is very, very positive on the GDX. It's nice to see the miners recovering. We predicted this would happen the last few weeks because of the positive earnings report, and that's exactly what has happened. And whenever you have the miners leading the gains in gold and silver sector. That's a positive sign. It probably means people are going to pile back into the precious metals themselves as well. Another positive symbol for gold and silver going forward for December. Of course, we'll have to watch a futures market, but it's nice to see this. Now, the Huey index, the gold bug index, quote unquote, is up 12% today. I'm sorry, $12 today, 4.5% on a daily basis. Look at this nice bump over the last week. Goodness gracious. People are loving them some Huey after the Thanksgiving Day break. And we just have had great trading Huey. That's a very positive sign for the gold stocks themselves. And of course, we have the SIL, the Global X Silver Miners ETF. That has popped very nicely. Today it popped 5.86% or $2.34 on that share price. Really nice looking chart the last week for the silver miners ETF. So some of the ETFs and stock indexes doing very well in the gold and silver space. Again, that's very positive for December. So again, don't fret. We have positive, if you're a gold and silver investor for December, we have very positive deliveries early on in the month. We have very positive stock numbers and ETF numbers. Good news for gold and silver in December. Don't know if we reach lows. We'll have to see. We've had fairly weak volume on this bounce on gold. Yeah, okay volume on this bounce in silver with a very important resistance line, the 50-day moving average. We'll see what happens. But again, a lot of good news. And a couple of other pieces of news, which are probably very bullish for gold and silver over the medium term, the next 2 to 3 months. We have news here from Reuters about Treasury Secretary nominee Yellen warning of self-reinforcing U.S. downturn and wanting to spend money. So it says here that President-elect Joe Biden's Treasury Secretary nominee Janet Yellen said on Tuesday, the United States is experiencing a historic crisis due to the pandemic and its economic fallout. They want to avert a self-reinforcing downturn. In other words, they're going to spend money. Of course, she is the previous U.S. Federal Reserve Chair, where she was very accommodative in the QE department for the economy, not expecting her to be any different from a Treasury perspective. She's talking about the tragedy, it's causing devastation. We need to turn it around. We need to build our economy back better than before. So it's spending money basically. Steve Mnuchin, earlier on Tuesday, urged the U.S. Senate to support $300 billion in new grants to small businesses. So Mnuchin's trying to do right by small businesses, and they defend his action to end some Fed lending programs, which we talked about on our last video. We won't get into that here. There is new proposal. Their lawmakers floated a $908 billion relief proposal, almost $1 trillion, led by Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell of the Republicans wanting to spend money. We don't know what Yellen's role will be here, but here's a quote. To work every day towards rebuilding their dream for all Americans, to American people would be an institution that wakes up every morning thinking about you, your paycheck, so on and so forth. She also pledged in other news to support various social justice programs and support for minorities. So again, going to spend money as the Treasury Secretary. Should she be confirmed and Biden confirmed as president, that's what you have to look forward to. That additional spending is very bullish for gold and silver over the next 2 to 3 months, the medium term. Here we have another report from Reuters talking about McConnell urging a new relief bill and them talking about a must-pass $1.4 trillion spending bill that Mitch McConnell was speaking about on Tuesday. They've also talked about the Democrats wanting to spend about 2.2 trillion. That was turned down. So they're somewhere between 1.4 trillion and 2.2 trillion, and they want to do it by December 11th. That would be just about 9 days from now, so not too long. McConnell's saying we need a targeted relief bill, and the $500 billion approach is insufficient. So they want to get 1.4 to 2.2 trillion. 332 trillion of that is in loans or grants to small businesses. So again, wanting to give money to small businesses. Mnuchin, the current Secretary of the Treasury, and also Mitch McConnell wanting to do that, heading up the Republican proposal. The Democrats wanting to give 2.2 trillion from Schumer and Pelosi. We don't know if we'll get there, but we're going to get a lot. So anywhere from $1 trillion to 2.2 trillion in fresh money is going to hit the market here probably, or get approved by December 11th and begin to hit the market after that. So look back at all the news. We had positive gold and silver prices today. That's one. Number two, we had very positive deliveries to begin the month. Number three, we've had pops in the stock market indices and the ETFs for gold and silver. And number four, they're talking about spending a whole crap ton of money, whether it's Republicans or Democrats, which is coming and probably be approved here in the next week or so. Those are all positive signs, short and medium term, for gold and silver. So for those of you worried about the corrections in price in gold and silver, don't worry too much. Again, we we're still at critical support for both gold and silver. It's been a little bit worse for gold percentage wise than it has been for silver. But again, we're critical support here for gold. We've managed to re-challenge at 200-day moving average, and the silver is re-challenging its 50-day moving average if we go to the silver chart. So again, it not all is lost. Yes, we had some retracements and pullbacks. We've talked about that, predicted that for the last couple of months, but a lot of positive news, a lot of positive news. So don't hang your head if you're a PM investor. Do not hang your head. We look like we may be through the worst of times and maybe starting to come back up. We'll cover that through December, but lots of positive news. Don't hang your head, guys. We could be in store for a rebound. We will follow that throughout this week and through the rest of December and continue to bring you guys those reports. So don't fret, don't worry. Positive news in gold and silver today. It's not all bad. And we've had beautiful days of weather. It's cool and crisp here in Texas, but it's beautiful weather. Good to get outside, see some nature, get off of the computer, guys. Spend some time with your family. It's the holidays. Count your blessings. We had a wonderful Thanksgiving. I think we're going to have a wonderful Christmas and New Year's. So keep your head up if you're a PM investor. Lots of good news. We'll continue to bring you good news throughout December, we hope, and we'll watch those markets and tell you exactly what's going on. That's going to end the video for today, guys. Till next time, this is Robert with goldsilverpros.com.